Hi, whole life leaders. So today we are going to talk about values. What even are they? Why are they important? And how do you go about discovering them for yourself? So I've got a few questions for you before we dive into this, because out of all of the leaders that I get to work with, when I ask them, do you know what your core values are? I kind of get a lukewarm response. So I want you to check in for yourself to see your answer to these three questions. All right, question number one, do you know what your core values are? Yes or no, no in between. Question number two, if you said yes to the first question, if we were face to face, would you be able to tell me in a lot of detail and really meaningfully what your values are and what they actually mean to you? Yes or no? And question number three, if you said yes to the first two questions, can you think of the last time in your life where you used a value to make a decision or to take an action that was in alignment with what mattered to you most? So if you answered yes to all three of those questions, amazing, and I want you to write values driven in the comments below because that's awesome. And if you didn't, no worries, because that's what this micro course is all about and you're not alone. It's interesting to me that this is such a fundamental part of leadership and personal development, and so many of us don't take the time that is required to really dig into this question around what really matters to us. And this is super important because if we don't know this, there's no way that we can show up as the CEO, the leader of our own life. Only from this foundation are we able to powerfully choose to take actions that are in alignment with what matters to us most. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video, so make sure you stay with me all the way to the end. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you download the Whole Life Leadership Blueprint in the link below, because that is your roadmap to becoming the CEO of your own life. Also, while I'm talking about this, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel because this is the first of 6 videos in the Whole Life Leadership Blueprint micro course series, and you want to be able to find out as soon as the other videos come online. So press the bell, subscribe, and you'll know as soon as they're out. All right, so let's dive into the 3 parts of this video. What are values? Why are they important? And how do you find them for yourself? So let's talk about what are values, the most fundamental basic question here. Values are the things that matter to us most. So they are the things that we would take a stand for even if they weren't popular. They're the things, the people, the experiences that we want to invest our precious time, energy, and resources into. So you can probably start to see why it's important to have crystal clarity around what these things are. Because when we don't, we run the risk of spending our time, energy, and resources on things that actually aren't really that important. The more tuned in we can get with our values, the more we turn up the wattage on them, and they shine so brightly like big stars in the sky, and it makes it super easy to be like, that is where I'm going, that is not where I'm going. And we don't have to worry about expending our time, energy, and resources on things that aren't important or aren't gonna move us towards our bigger picture vision, goals, and desires. So to help us understand a little bit more around what values are, because it's a big word, I'm gonna create 3 categories for us to work with. So 3 categories of values that I like to work with are our non-negotiable values. So these are the things that you just feel in your soul. You just know that this is important to me. I could not live without this in my life. Those are your non-negotiable values. Then we have our aspirational values. And these are things that we see, we like, we may see in others, or we've experienced them to some degree ourselves, but they're not necessarily yet part of our being. So these are the things that we aspire to have more of in our life, and they are just as valid as our non-negotiable values. The third category of values I want to highlight are our non-values. Now, non-values, just like the name suggests, are the things that we do not value. And it's actually really important to get crystal clear about what these things are. When we know what our non-values are, we know where not to spend our time, energy, and resources. And that allows us to kind of tune out the noise and really focus into the things that matter to us most. So now let's talk about why these things are important. So the more clear we are around our values, so when it moves from being that intuitive kind of gut feel around, yeah, I kind of know what my values are, to yeah, these are my top 3 values and these are what they mean to me, we're able to show up so much more powerfully in our life. People can feel it. They can tell that we're in alignment with our highest truth and that we know what we want and how we're going about getting it. The power of values is crazy. So I want you to think about, you can probably pull up in your mind a time in your life where it was super easy to make a choice, make a decision, get behind something, complete a goal. If you think about why, you might be able to trace that back to something that was in absolute alignment with the things that matter to you most. When we take on actions or goals that aren't in alignment with our values, it feels like we're swimming upstream. It's tough, it's hard, it's not enjoyable. But when we can align our goals and our actions with our values, we get in flow. It becomes something that's enjoyable, energizing, and it fills up our life rather than taking away from it. So that's why values are so important to identify and define so clearly, because it has a huge impact on our beliefs, our actions, and our behaviors, which ultimately gets us to the goals that we want to attain in our life. All right, so now into the part that you're probably waiting for, is how to discover your core values for yourself. So there's lots of different ways to go about that, but the strategy that I'm gonna share with you today is super simple and super effective. It's tapping into your internal wisdom and internal knowing to really dig into what matters to you most. So I'm gonna share with you the 5 core questions you can ask yourself to discover your core values. So key question number 1, what would you take a stand for even if it wasn't popular? Question number 2, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Question 3 to explore is for you to bring to mind in as much detail as possible the time or times in your life where you felt most proud. The 4th part to this is to bring to life in your mind in as much detail as possible the times in your life where you felt most alive, most expansive, most full of life. And the 5th part to this exercise is to bring to life in as much detail as possible the times in your life where you felt the most drained, the most contracted, the most unlike your full version of yourself. So once you've answered those 5 core coaching questions and you've written down your answers to all of those, you'll start to see some key themes and words that start to emerge. Those are your clues. Those words and themes are windows into your values and what matters to you most. So once you have those, start bringing some awareness to how fully those are living in your life. Where are they showing up? What do they actually mean to you? Start talking about them, taking values-aligned actions around them, and see which ones are really showing up as the most important in your life. Now remember, this is an ongoing journey and it's not meant to be finished off in this one video or even in the next week. Take this on as a lifelong practice to stay connected to the things that matter to you most, because guess what? As you evolve and grow, your values evolve and grow. So it's not a one-time and done kind of deal. So there you go. Why values matter, what they really mean, and how to go about discovering them for yourself. You are totally set up to take on the first part in your whole life leadership blueprint. So if you haven't downloaded that already, don't forget to do that using the link below. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified as soon as the other videos for the blueprint come online. If you think other people might be interested in this video that you know, feel free to share it too. And I can't wait to see you back here next time for the next video in the Whole Life Leadership Blueprint series very soon. See you later.